Welcome back to game 3 of the Royal League season, Emperor Division. When I first showed you the opponents of the season, I actually made a silly mistake and misspelled one of the names, and that meant that Raffaello wasn't shown in that list. He is the 8th player in the league, and as you see, he's a bit of an underdog. It is his first season in the Royal League, but I think he has increased his rating recently overall also quite a lot. He had some success in other leagues. The Nations League comes to mind, or Nations Cup rather, where he managed to go to the finals of the Nations Cup, which I didn't. So he was fighting for Germany there. Sadly, it didn't work out in the end. I sadly don't remember right now who won it. But definitely a player whose name is known on the Discord and who has shown some results. I guess in this two-player league still somewhat of an underdog. So we can, we will see how it will work out for him to fight against these two-player veterans. And my game right now, or the upcoming game, is against him. Let's go into that. We can see that Raffaello is in the first position here. It chooses Engineering Genius, which is understandable. It leaves me the Pyramids, which I consider to be maybe the most solid wonder overall. But he will get Acropolis or Stonehenge, like this with the EG on top. Maybe has to pay 2 selections, depending on what happens for the Acropolis. Let's see how good of an Acropolis game this is. I would say it's a decent Acropolis game. I discussed it last time. I think Bach elevates it above all, Bach Dietrich, but the existence of something like Shakespeare, Darwin, this looks like an interesting setup. So it does look like culture, because there's Hollywood, Shakespeare, Darwin, but maybe there's some counterplay. There's no Gandhi, there is a Napoleon. Maybe you can also go a military route here. Okay. Yeah, but not too much to argue with this EG. I would also do that, probably. And here, I actually decided not to take the Pyramids, but Hippocrates. As we see, it's the only leader left in the row. We can also take a look here. There's still Confucius, Cleopatra, Sun Tzu. But they will all be, it's actually impossible that one will be available for 2 civil actions. So Raffaello will not have a leader available early on. And he can decide, does he want to spend 2 civil actions for the Acropolis, or will he take Pyramids for 1 civil action? And I will get another wonder like, what's left over? Not the Pyramids, but worst case like Stonehenge, or there might be, it's not the best H1 leader setup, wonder setup. There's this castle, Machu Picchu early. I tend to not like too much. Maybe as first wonder actually not that bad, but Machu Picchu without extra civil actions results in corruption a lot. And if you corrupt 2-3 times from that wonder, then its value is very underwhelming. Okay, interesting decision here. Let's see how it turns out. Does he take the Acropolis? He does take the Acropolis. It's a mine. Standard turn then. And I do take the Stonehenge, and I think especially the row is actually not that bad for that. We have Iron and Code of Laws already. I will very likely get one of those, unless Raffaello decides to spend 4 civil actions. on both of them, which is very unlikely. And then that Stonehenge already works because it enables me to get this iron ore Code of Laws. I would prefer the Code of Laws, of course, just that bit earlier. Development of trade routes is revealed, and now taking this iron also looks super wrong. Then he would have to build a warrior to avoid corruption. So yeah, we see the Code of Laws. I think it's the correct choice between the two. And builds the Wonder. Doesn't bother with Cleopatra. Just maybe a close call, but Barbarossa already coming. Maybe not the leader you want as the first leader of your civilization. What's left here? We have Gutenberg, Eleanor, Da Vinci. I would say Gutenberg would be extremely nice for him in this setup. Da Vinci can be very strong. Maybe that's the best options to look out for. Let's see quickly. Yeah, there's no Suez Canal. Eleanor can always be strong, but especially with the Suez Canal, she's absurd. Alright. I did not see it. Raffaello did, right? Yeah, he did. I did not. And first selection was populating 2 stages, take iron in hand. Yeah. What's alternatives? Could take the printing press already, but maybe then I spent 3 civil actions on taking cards here. I have a Wonder that requires 4 civil actions. It doesn't sound too coherent. So that's printing press. It's well played by him to put it here, I think. If it was on 1, I would gladly take it in such a game, and now he has the access to it early on, with also not having built philosophy yet. And he indeed does go for it. Builds it, and yeah, that is a pretty good start for him, I would say. That looks like a very strong setup for a 2-player game with Shakespeare in, with Darwin in. Yeah, the only downside he has going for him is that he does not have a leader yet. And indeed, the Barbarossa for 1 was not to his liking, which I can understand. It's awkward in the setup. I decide to not seed again. I don't want to commit for Raiders or Good Harvest. Maybe also seeding could result in corruption, although that doesn't look like it too much. And I actually decide to go for Eleanor. And I don't elect her yet. Maybe somewhat interestingly, I decide to go for the 3rd Hippocrates activation, which comes in very late, so most of the time I don't really bother with that, but here I felt like maybe I don't want to seed those. If I don't have to, maybe I can just wait for better alternatives. The Good Harvest might just be a little bit better for the Acropolis player, because he thrives more on those extra food with maybe 1 extra urban building out. And the Raiders into this Acropolis strength might also not be that desirable, so maybe that is the reason. Yeah, but in the end, if I don't draw anything else, I will also go for those, because it's just too valuable with Eleanor. I would probably gladly have taken another leader here, but yeah, Hippocrates has done his work. Yeah, I think it's the correct call to pay 2 civil actions for Hippocrates has done his work. He doesn't have a leader. I think we both want a new leader, and that's the only leader available here. And depending on where the other guys are in the deck, it's just a nice timing thing. I don't really have that much to do with my civil actions anyway. I don't have any resources left, so I had to take cards. And what's the alternative? Maybe take swordsman drama or something, but it's also not very convincing. And then the leader is disputed or umkämpft. What's the English word? Yeah, maybe disputed isn't even that wrong. It's contested. Contested. So I decided to go for it, but not play her yet. Yeah. And the value of it's a bit dependent on where those guys are. And of those guys, actually only just Gutenberg and Da Vinci are what I don't want to see in the row. To play the fighting band, so do set up to maybe go for those raiders. And we see Raffaello not seeding, he builds a second printing press, so the absolute correct setup he's playing here for such a two-player game. Takes the monarchy also. Yeah, that's definitely what I would have done too. So far, I would say maybe flawless. Maybe you could have delayed finishing that wonder and taken Cleopatra. She would have done some work until now already. But that's also a close call, I think. So let's move on. I do see the raiders in the end. I didn't draw anything else, and I do have this fighting band with one warrior. I already win it if he doesn't do anything, and if I lose it, losing raiders can be okay. The opportunity cost of seeding, creating some information in the deck, improving the turn. Yeah, for example, now I got those markets. They gave me some information that I have some extra rocks to work with. I already have iron. I can now upgrade even one more iron, and I know that the Taj Mahal is a very good opportunity cost in there. That's the value of seeding versus not seeding. It improved my turn quite a lot, and then I can risk maybe losing raiders in the future. So this Taj Mahal I like in such situations a lot actually. In two-player, culture is important, and then I already have iron, 4+4 rocks. I could actually just build it next turn, but I will probably still upgrade iron here. I'm still on one philosophy, so maybe interesting to see if I'm willing to go for alchemy, urban growth, or something like that. But if I had to guess, it's just upgrade and something like urban growth here. Upgrade and populate even, not bothering with this urban growth. We see draw rats and foray, and now it will be interesting to see. I will maybe prefer to put the rats in over this good harvest for the reasons I mentioned. And then, yeah, Da Vinci showed already, could have been a bit later, but it's also not that many cards left here. It's normal that one of the good leaders will show up at some point. And yeah, that is a very good pick by him. He goes up to 4 science income, develops the monarchy very cheaply here. Yeah, sadly couldn't make it work to still build a religion, but that could also be a bit awkward because there can still be a free religion. So he has a discount of 3, which is good, and he has good science income. And yeah, I have to say, his position looks super good here. Does he manage to get out of corruption? He can populate and build a warrior. Does he do that? Yes, he does. Which makes it a bit more likely that I actually lose the raiders, but I'm fine with that. He even has the other copy of the fighting band. The maybe S tier tactic of two-player. And I indeed go for the good harvest, right? Interestingly. Yeah, maybe an interesting decision. Maybe I was afraid that it could be timing wise very awkward that I lose out on the reds while he has just populated, depending on where it is. And then it's a bit swingy, and I don't want to seed foray obviously against those for strength. And maybe I also just decide to go for this irrigation now. And then the reds could be awkward for me, but yeah, I guess both choices were legitimate here, reds or irrigation. And yeah, during the game I will have had more thoughts than I can come up with now. Actually, my memory isn't that perfect in that regard. I can't remember all the reasons, but maybe yeah, it was something being afraid of being on the short end of the reds in after all, after having taken irrigation also. Uh, Raffaello goes for an aggression. Could have worked, but I had the defense card. I had to get rid of the reds now and the defense card, which is a bit sad since I have just drawn a colony. And drawing seeding colonies with Eleanor is always nice because she draws those extra cards. So a bit annoying here. Maybe it couldn't seed, but also in some cases it just goes through. He has to pay 2 selections for irrigation here and does that, and here he builds an extra irrigation, which will make his next turn a bit awkward. If we look at the yellow bank, the age is about to end, and then now if we can remove this tag here, now we see it, he will have uprising issues, which he cannot solve by populating because he has one extra worker here. He could have just upgraded it, still populated, but then he had 2 unhappy workers. Probably no information about rebellion. So his plan seems to be to fix happiness with maybe theology, or theology is gonna print in circus if it drops. But he commits to that like that. So that might be a turn that I don't agree with too much here. Yeah, so far flawless game, and this irrigation makes his next turn, I think, pretty awkward. It could be that he fixes it by just disbanding a warrior, which is also maybe not preferable. I think he creates a bad situation for him for no reason by building this irrigation instead of upgrading one. Yeah, let's see. I seed that wealthy territory, development of science revealed, and here I take the masonry, just a good tech, and upgrade some food, still 8 rocks to maybe finally build that Machu Picchu next turn. Raiders are revealed. I do indeed lose those. Oh yeah, maybe one of the reasons for not wanting to seed reds is that then if you lose raiders, you can choose to lose 2 food, but if the reds are revealed and then the raiders are revealed, then I have to lose 2 rocks, and that's what I didn't want. Now I remember. That's what I didn't want. That's why I wanted the good harvest in there, to have this extra food that I can just lose then. Yeah, and here we see he has to go for the spread and circs play now. I mean, he doesn't have to. I think it's still wrong. I think he should still maybe disband even, okay, I mean, it feels really bad after having build this irrigation, but I think in this game state would still be correct to disband the warrior, then maybe. I mean, it also depends on what events he has there. If he has the strength events in, then that would also be wrong. But let's say there are no strength events, then he wants to disband the warrior and just build, if he's afraid of the of the rebellion, which he might, maybe, probably should be seeing this. Yeah, I'm well set up to not lose any civil actions here. Then he should just build a religion or two, which is also extremely just good with his Acropolis. It's not good with Darwin in the game, admittedly, but he's well set up for Shakespeare. It makes the Darwin setup bad. So I will admit that you don't really want those religion if there's only these two leaders, and yeah, it's a 50-50 whether he gets Shakespeare or not. On the other hand, yeah, okay, I don't have the printing press yet, but it will be available for me now. Still, yeah, taking this balance 6 for 2 I think really hurts his position. Now he even has corruption from that, so yeah, those small things snowball. But it's still a good position. So it's since everything else was clean until that moment, we can look. Wait, let's get rid. Good harvest is revealed. We can look here. It's 9 plus 4 science, 17 plus 3 culture. Well set up for Shakespeare. He has the monarchy already, so he has 5 civil actions, code of law in hand, iron in hand, can upgrade those. Might even decide to go for that Oli Kohli, although I'm not entirely certain if that's even better. So yeah, his position is still pretty good. And I did seed something, now I'm really not certain what, honestly, but I will always just seed with Eleanor. Now we have the prosperity in hand. The good harvest was revealed. I did choose to lose food, right? With loses to food because of the raiders. And now we just go, yeah, finish that Taj Mahal. Take printing press in hand because the card's so important. And yeah, very nice draw with another territory here. Eleanor doing her work. Border conflict is revealed, so there indeed is a strength event, which he didn't want to just not contest by disbanding a warrior or something. And he does pay the 2 civil actions for coal. Now, I am honestly not certain if that's correct, because he already has spent civil actions to take this iron, and he could just play it, upgrade, upgrade, upgrade. He could play iron, upgrade 3 times, and still take, I don't know, patriotism or something. Or maybe upgrade 2 times, take breakthrough or something. Now he spends 2 extra civil actions to have attack that, is it even that much better? And takes corruption for that. Is the coal even that much better in a 2-player game than the iron? I don't know. I don't know. I would just go for this iron, I think. But I think other players, strong players, would agree with the coal probably. So that's just my honest question. What do you think? What's better here? Going for this early coal when you have iron already in hand, or do the more civil action efficient play with the iron? I can sadly not calculate in my head whether it would be corruption if he went for 2 upgrades here. Probably would, with 13 food lying around here. So he could not really take this breakthrough, I think, which is a high value card. Yeah. To me, it feels a bit unnecessary to spend those 2 extra civil actions. Yeah, in 3-player, 4-player, it would probably be better in almost all cases, but Maybe even they are not. I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, don't know. I seed the vast territory, the wealthy territory is revealed. I have all the defense cards in the world. I can just win it with one warrior. A huge boost. It's a huge boost. It's the power of Eleanor. And here I decide to go for the printing press. I'm still on 4 civil actions, but so far it works out quite well. In the border conflict, I decided to lose the agriculture for now. I'm probably just going to build the irrigation, so not yet even, still 7 foot. And I consider this breakthrough just to be that valuable. But yeah, being able to lose this agriculture is nice, since I wanted to upgrade that anyway at some moment, and now I can just build one, so I don't lose a civil action. I just lose some food until I actually do that, which will very likely be next turn. It's nice to have the information that reds are gone. I had them in hand, so I can do this. I mean, it would also be very unlikely that he seeded them in this setup, but I am certain because I had that in hand. And here we do see draw the refugees. Will be interesting to see if we are willing to put that in the deck. I'm willing to take many risks because drawing these extra cards with Eleanor just creates so much value information. I'm still so looking for a tactic, also H2. This is not maybe the best option, the Conquistadores. So will be interesting to see if I'm willing to put that in there in this situation. Raffaello seeds, the Crusades are revealed. So indeed another strength event, which is a very correct choice to go for strength events, seeing that the opponent's military potential is practically 0 for now. So that is good. See the Code of Laws not revealed. What is it? Erforscht. In my head. Yeah. He played it. Played the Code of Laws. It's not discovered. Yeah. He has the Code of Laws in his civilization now. Upgrades the coal. Takes efficient upgrades. Populates. Yeah, looking good. Last select populate is understandable. He might consider to maybe just take the navigation in hand against an Eleanor, because it's not that unlikely that the Eleanor player is willing to seed colonies, and you just have it in hand, and then the Eleanor player will stop seeding further colonies. And 0+4 science is not like he can easily afford to just play the navigation, but maybe in 2 turns. And then again, it would mean the architecture is out. And like this, you can take it next turn, unless I'm willing to hate draft it, which I'm not with forcible actions. And I'm very unlikely that that happens, that I take this architecture away. Okay, so yeah, understandable that he doesn't go for this navigation. He probably has not seen any colonies himself, but just as an option, if you see Eleanor, yeah, taking that in hand, taking a cartography just in hand in such states can be very annoying for the opponent. And I do see the refugees actually, so I'm willing to do that, hoping to maybe draw a tactic and maybe contest it in the future, or maybe just be set up for a scenario where it's not that bad for me. Barbarians are revealed, and the bug is revealed. Turn 10. Can I do it here? Like if I just load here? Yeah, okay, I didn't have to go to the menu every time. I can just press load here. Okay, we are back to this turn, and then the barbarians are revealed. And as we see, I did decide to go for this refugees, and as we see, the value is immediate. I draw this inhabited territory. I think if I remember correctly, as of now, in this deck, there is a vast territory. Now I also have the inhabited territory in hand. I have 2 colonization cards, so now this navigation is super high value. And I will very likely go for that. Not this turn, probably, because there's an Republic. So if I had to guess, oh, maybe I can do both, thanks to the breakthrough. Republic, navigation, and I'm super happy. Maybe even with Darwin. Oh yeah, because he gives me a lot of extra civil action in this case. I would be very surprised if I didn't go for Darwin here. Darwin, Republic, navigation, justice system. Maybe I even find the time to hate draft this architecture. Maybe wave at the end. Yeah, let's see. I did dodge the barbarians. I do go for this Darwin, yes. Somewhat close. If there was no crusades, maybe I could have lost those barbarians, but they were also... Was it this card? Was it in this same deck? Yeah, might be. Yeah, that is Eleanor here. This turn is crazy. I think it was roughly possible like this so far. Just not maybe the justice system in the end. Yeah. Yeah, some things would not be possible, so that was extreme value. Independence declaration, which is a bit annoying. Those extra blue cubes, I do value them, but it's not as bad as losing a vast, obviously. And here we see Raffaello going for the railroad for a lot of civil actions, which is good, I think. I was also well set up for this railroad with the masonry and 16 rocks and a lot of civil actions. I would have gone for this railroad. When I saw that they dropped, I was immediately like, oh, nice, here, economic progress, railroad, I will go for that. And he went for it. It was, I think, the best wonder of those. And he can probably still take architecture, upgrade coal. And there's not really anything else that has very high priority or high impact here. So I agree, that's a good turn, I think, to go for this railroad. And upgrading would possibly mean he couldn't finish it, so he just populates to get out of corruption. So he will be economically very strong with this railroad on coal. And he's has free reign for Shakespeare now, so we can take a look right now. It's very open, I would say. Darwin did already give the value of the civil action, and I talked about it in the last videos. It's also a timing thing. I have this extra culture income earlier than he does now, and I will create somewhat of a lead until he manages to get his Shakespeare running. And then it's what am I even trying to say? It's an interesting question, which leader is better, and I think it's decided by timing then in total. So Shakespeare is in a vacuum the better leader in this 2-player situation, but timing wise and setup wise, I was very happy to get this Darwin. But I still am aware that he has a huge potential for the future here, and he can easily create something like 20 culture income in maybe 3-4 turns. So we will have to look out for that potential and find proper counterplay with possibly, hopefully, early multimedia or just operas ourselves also. So here, yeah, I don't actually remember how H3 looks. So we will all be surprised. It's a very interesting state here. I do get access, that was the downside, I guess, of taking those railroads for civil actions there was he could not get the strategy, which means I get free access to the strategy in a game where it's pretty important for me. So maybe my statement, there was no high priority for him, no other high priority was not that correct. So maybe the strategy was too important to not leave for me. Then again, it's H3 is approaching, military theory can just drop, which is also considerably more expensive science-wise, and I do not have the best science income. Yeah, maybe the strategy was too important. I don't know. This railroad is great, but maybe the strategy was too important. Okay, I get that. I get cannons. Both cost one selection. Darwin doing his work. Populate, build another library, build another philosophy. Need more science income. It also creates a culture pattern with, thanks to Darwin, this philosophy. And I still have corruption. Couldn't realistically avoid it, apparently. Maybe a consideration would have been to build an irrigation instead of this philosophy. I think I also did consider it, and I cannot remember the compelling reason why this philosophy is better, but maybe, yeah, that science is just too important. Also, maybe this irrigation would have also not fixed corruption. So it's just 4 rocks instead of 3, okay. Now here, war over technology. That is great for him, because he does get this 5 extra strength now. Just doesn't really have, I guess he could still build 1 warrior. Does he even do that? He's not willing to do that. Yeah, it's 11 strength, and gladly this means I don't lose the strategy. I can just develop it. I cannot develop cannons on top, sadly, but I can just develop that and take this rev idea, take all those cards to be set up for H3 tactics. I also have a tactic in hand here. It's also a strength of Eleanor that you just see a lot of cards in H2, and it's very unlikely that you don't see a proper tactic at some point. And I am not even building a warrior, extra warrior. It doesn't do that much, I think. I did consider it, but then I would have to disband that philosophy, which also produces science at some point, and then it's super close. Didn't feel correct to disband something to build this warrior. The important thing is not losing strategy, not losing navigation, having this rev idea to be able to get the science back up, and yeah, 8. So 8 minus 5 is 3, yeah. We get one of those techs out. That's the most important thing, I guess. And warrior more or not would not change that. So, but still, a pretty annoying timing for a robot tech. And now finally very late. Shakespeare very late. All operas very late. Maybe a little unlucky for him, but also he had other good things to do, so it's not like he didn't have good turns. And now the Shakespeare and two cavalrymen, hussars. Yeah, 20 to 6 strength. This is extremely annoying for me. It would have been so much better if it still happened in H2, because now he has one entire H3 less draw less. And that is, yeah, those H3 draws are important. But this does... I don't know. I don't know if this threatens anything, if it's the correct call, or just building those operas already would be better, because yeah, maybe if he has another war in hand here, and I do have issues, or he also happy face issues, so if he can follow up being aggressive, this does do something. But we see I already almost like this am able to defend an aggression. Yeah, and if he's not able to follow up, it doesn't do anything other than not drawing H3 cards. And drawing H3 cards can show you the direction for H3. If you draw war early on, a tactic, then you can set up to go for that. If you draw impacts, you can play around those impacts. Yeah, this would be 1,000,000% very good if it still happened in H2. And in H3, I think I would not consider this to be good. He went from stronger, which he was anyway, to being even stronger. And yeah, I cannot put it in other words. If he doesn't create value from this is very bad. And let's see how that works out if he creates some value from this. I mean, we know that there's a refuges in there, and he was going to win those. And there are other strength events. But yeah, he was stronger already. He could wait and see if I even get stronger than him. Then he could still try to do that a little more efficiently, military action wise, maybe. But yeah, let's see how this works out. Stick takes opera in hand. Yeah, he does have to spend those two civil actions, otherwise I can just deny those operas from him, which he doesn't want to happen. And that means corruption, but corruption is not that much of an issue if you are on 15 plus 12. What is a bit of an issue, slowly but steadily, is lack of people, and he wants some people here in the operas very soon. So let's see how he manages that. I revealed the vast territory and am able to bid 7, which is actually just, yeah, two cards, right? Yes. He was not able to bid more or willing. 7 is that is more than 7 if he sent that pair. That's 10. So he was not willing to bid 2 cavalrymen. Might be worth it. Might be worth it. What you also can do, I learned that from Weidenbaum actually. He posted that as a comment at some point years ago. If you are not willing to bid to really send this pair, but you are uncertain of the value of this territory, you can set a number like 8 or something. And if it happens that 8 is enough and you have to send the units, then okay, it happens. Yeah, but you can make the opponent pay more. So set a higher number than you actually want to bid. I think you understand what I mean. I did not manage to explain it perfectly. But yeah, if you are not certain about the value of a territory, just set a number, and then in some cases you have to send more than that number, and it happens. But I do that a lot actually when bidding for colonies, because 7 seems a bit cheap for me. We will still have to see how good those hussars will work now. Let's see the turn. Revideer, Rifleman, 2 Riflemen, back to 12 strength. Another Rifleman enables me to defend aggressions, and I'm set up for the defensive army also. I have a huge strength potential also all of a sudden here. To take Opera in hand, the breakthrough still. Science super important. Cannot or do not want to spend those selections for the military theory. Although it's also a pretty important card for him, so might consider it. He does go for the annex, so yeah, sure, I just spent 2 defense cards, and that is a reasonable attempt. Ah, okay. In hindsight, that's also why he didn't want to overbid. I think his approach was okay. If he has to spend some cards to win the territory, then I can just take it away from him. And I guess it's a very good plan actually. So can consider it lucky that I still had another card which I needed to defend this. Raffaello goes for the movies instead of the opera, which is super nice because he has a lot of rocks, architecture, so those are just a lot more value for him. And he develops them, builds one, disbands the warrior. I'm very glad to see this, and builds another movie. And yeah, let's see. He's on 42 plus 15 now. I'm on 75 plus 13. This is the effect of this timing thing that I am always talking about. I have this lead now because I was just a bit earlier with my leader. And he still didn't manage to surpass me in a way where he's catching up very soon. He can do that maybe in 1 turn if he really commits to it. If he committed to it, not to those hussars, he would be there now. Yeah, he would have an extra pair right now with operas, admittedly. So waiting for those movies actually worked out quite well, I guess. But on the other hand, if he had operas already, let's say he had 2-2 now, and then built 1 extra pair here, and then he can maybe just take this multimedia, which is arguably better even than those movies compared to operas. Multimedia compared to printing presses, and now they are in the row for me, and I still have potential to play this culture game. So yeah, that's not the number that's catching up so fast enough. Another pair already, that would be a number that's catching up. But he has the Acropolis, he has many buildings, and yeah, at some point there should have been some more food income here, maybe. Yeah, but depending on how greedy I am or how much military pressure I can put up, he can just go to 4 pairs already, and with an H3 government to 5 pairs. And then there's a Hollywood, which dropped now. And I think in my initial plans of the turn, I wasn't willing to take it for those 5 selections. And then when I looked closer at this turn and the state of the game, I realized that I had to take it because it is just his win condition to build maybe 60 culture Hollywood here with Shakespeare. And even if my Hollywood looks kind of meh now, so non-existent to be honest, it is the wonder that is the high impact here. And I have to spend all those civil actions on that. Also take Chaplin in hand, which is the only leader that synergizes with the Hollywood. So for future uh, options. I can just play Chaplain, also kind of nice with the two happy faces. I don't have a happy face solution yet. So in the end, yeah, it was quite late in the evaluation of this turn. I already had a lot of other things done, I think, up to that point. And then I stepped back and realized, okay, the story was just too important. I have to take it. And yeah, I can still take this multimedia in hand. I think Darwin has created already like 4, 5, maybe 6 extra civil actions up to this point. It's an aspect of the leader that you shouldn't overlook. It's very strong. So Raffaello then goes for the fast food chains. Maybe the only other wonder that is, yeah, okay, it's probably will be comparable to Spacelight, but all of those wonders are like those 20 culture wonders, and the Hollywood was a potential, yeah, not gonna lie, like with this setup, a potential 60 culture wonder if he manages to still build it with Shakespeare. Okay, 60 is like maybe a bit exaggerated, but 50, pretty realistic. So fast food chains it is. That will be something like 20 as always. Dispense another warrior, which is good. Dispense a philosophy, builds an extra pair. Yeah, that is the thing he has to do here. Be greedy. Now he's at 22, which I wished for him to be a turn earlier. Now this is 9 culture extra income, and that is maybe, as we see, it's 30 culture difference, maybe 3 turns left. So 9 culture difference is not enough to catch up entirely on its own. So you still need something extra. I can actually get stronger and contest the refugees by building a rifleman here, which is kind of nice. It's also still possible to draw 3 cards here, thanks to the strategy. Get a rev idea, reserves, starts. I had this EG2 still in hand, so I could just use that as my last selections for efficiency's sake. And Raffaello plays resource of food, can get another guy out, build a movie, and take fundamentalism in hand over this communism. I think he has to be a little wary of my strength potential, and also he gets stronger by that. Goes down to 0+1 science, which means, yeah, getting Air Force out or any other tech in this game will be impossible. So maybe communism would have been a better option after all. Hope for another rev. No, the rev ideas are gone then, right? Yeah. Yeah, those Air Force would not happen in either case, I guess, realistically. So yeah, understandable fundamentalism. Get stronger, contests possible strength events, which are in there, at least the refugees, maybe some of his own. And yeah, something we see, I think he has only drawn these 2 cards in H3 so far. No military cards drawn. No military cards drawn, yeah. And this is those draws are important. Now he finally draws 3 extra cards. Can take an Urban Grove still. I get the military built up, reserves, decide to go for cans. I even have drawn maybe the nuts tactic in this setup. So I could have gone for this defensive army already and gotten stronger. But this turn allows me, if I put this tactic out and I have a rev idea in hand, this turn allows me to use the military build up in a potential war, and I have the hybrid war in hand. So I can declare a very annoying war and get very strong with, yeah, pretty low effort here. thanks to the military build-up and this tactic. Take the air forces in hand. And I elect chaplain. It's some cultureless, but I thought I might need the civil action. So I do that. He declares an armed intervention here, which is interesting. I just defend it with a card. But yeah, it could happen that I don't have that card, and then I have to put 4 cards away, which is a little annoying. I won't draw extra cards because the edge ends, so it's actually a nice try here. It's actually something well done, I would say. He just builds the wonder and is actually able, and I think this is his correct approach here, like this, building the wonder. He will be able to just also build the spaceflight with his very good rock income. Does he already take it? He even already takes it. No, nothing else to do. Yeah, he has no signs to still go for multimedia or something like that. So he decides to just already take it, very understandably. Will he have another leader available? Kubata. A bit sad that he's not here. On the other hand, swapping him out already would not be such a huge difference because Shakespeare just produces 6 culture per turn. He does have 3 pairs, right? Yeah, that's 6 culture per turn. Kubata would be 4 plus 8, 12. So yeah, it is actually 6 culture, but he would also have to spend some civil actions like this. He also already has the spaceflight in hand. Still a bit unlucky that Kubata is not here yet. And yeah, maybe if we look at it before the war, he did manage to go to 150 culture. I have a production left that will be 30. My Hollywood isn't that impressive. So yeah, I mean, in the end, I'm also again maybe just a bit lucky with this tactic draw. I am able to still declare this war, and I think this war is still necessary to win the game, certainly, and or to have a very good shot at winning the game. Certain, yeah, you get what I mean. I think so. This war is extremely strong. Obviously, I go to 52 strength, and he doesn't really have a good way to defend it. He can build, what is it, 4 Hussars? No, not even. Like this 3. Yeah, it's not enough to defend it properly. And he also decides not to do it. Just builds the wonder. I think it makes no difference. He would have to spend all his stuff and then only build 3 of those cavalrymen. And that's also not nearly strong enough, and then maybe it's even worth less culture than just building the space, right? But if I didn't have that war, I think his approach here, greedy with the 2 wonders, I think then it will be very close. He's at 196, and now, of course, he loses some, but he's still ahead, and yeah, okay, but I still have my turn. Yeah, okay, but without the war, this game will look very close. And yeah, as I said, the Hollywood's not that impressive, just 24 culture, but okay. It's even 24 culture. It's even better with very low setup than those wonders were for him. That's the strength of the Hollywood. Yeah. And now I can still maximize, I think. I didn't talk about impacts too much here, but I think I only seeded Harmony in the end. And I could still maximize Harmony here, which is then 24 to 8. And this is the only impact in. So in the end, a bit more than 60 culture lead, but that's roughly what I gained through the war. Yeah, if there was no war, game will be very close. Probably still better outcome from me, because I also had to invest something here, right? I could maybe have one more opera, maybe multimedia, so that also creates some value for the Hollywood. Will be close either way, but this war was still very efficient, I would say, super efficient. And I managed to win it, but it was an interesting game. It was well played by Raffaello, I would argue, and it's as in many cases the sum of small things. Maybe one major thing, if I had to evaluate it now after seeing the game again, is possibly the strategy, actually. To take it away from the Republic player might be just mandatory. Without the strategy, I would struggle a lot in this game. I would get then the railroad, so I had that option then for me, and he wouldn't get it. But I think the strategy is more important. I mean, his plan was good, right? He takes the railroad, he declares a very efficient war of attack, but the war of attack was not strong enough. Maybe if he manages to set up with the Hussars a bit earlier, then he just wins the game there. If this war of attack happens with the Wonder plus the Hussars, maybe a turn later or something, then he creates a state where I cannot maybe defend it well enough to save my strategy in my hand, and he takes it away or something, and then it's over. So yeah, very close there. Lucky end for me also. I will always acknowledge this game is also a game of chance. I maybe might make it sound like I have eaten the wisdom with the things, you know? What is Löffel in English? Spoons. I have eaten the wisdom with the spoons. And yeah, after all, it's easy to say in hindsight that things might have been not optimal. It's only my perspective from now, reviewing the games. Yeah, if I had to pinpoint one thing, or the other thing that comes to mind, the one thing, I think the big thing is a strategy, but also acknowledged again, he had a good reason for the things that he did, and the other thing is the end of H1 decision to build this food instead of upgrading it, and then being committed to take Bread and Circus. That felt very awkward already during the game. Was, I think, the first moment where I thought, where I was a little relieved, because until then he played it more or less perfectly, or maybe not more or less, just perfectly. And then I was like, oh, okay, maybe some small crack where I have some leverage here. All right, let's actually look at the standings after 3 games. This is also the current state of the tournament. I haven't played the 4th game yet, and we can quickly take a look. I have now won 3 out of 3 games. No, not this. This, okay, is the standings, and as we see, I won my 3 games. Then there's Martin Peugeot, who has won 2 out of 3 games, and Gross, who has won 2 out of 3 games. Wait. Yeah, exactly. Weinbaum still playing versus Zarus, so one of them will also have won 2 out of 3 games. And yeah, in this situation, my game against Gross will already be very interesting, I think. We see Raffaello has managed to win 1 game out of his 3 games against Zaru, I think. Garamesh standing on 0-3 right now, but it's still possible for him to stay in. And also, these things happen so quickly. Now, after 3 games, I'm looking in a decent spot to maybe even contest winning the group, but I'm also still very... my goal in these leagues is always to stay in. So I've been in the first division, I think 3, 4 seasons, but also I think 2 times or one time. My memory is too bad. I also got relegated already, so it's easy. It happens very quickly. Last 2 spots are relegated, or even last 3. Yeah, last 3 spots get relegated, and the last spot gets relegated 2 leagues down. So it's an interesting league concept here. Yeah, here I might contest first place, but I have to win my game against Gross, or else he's ahead of me. And Gross is also a very good player, so we can look forward to that game. I have just recently played a 1v1 against him and lost from a position that should be winnable probably, but he played it very well. And yeah, he's one of those top tier players that will always make it very hard for you to win a game. And there's still obviously other good players. Every game will be hard. So I might also lose my 4 remaining games very realistically against those players. Okay, that's the standings, and thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.